Hello everyone, and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix New Orleans for the MSEM format. I'm Caillou, and today we're going to be watching a round 2 match between Gateways, who is playing Sultai Heart Attack Control, and Test, who's playing an innovative build, which is basically blue-red Eureka. So Eureka is a mechanic from the set Discoveries of Kivia. Basically, at the beginning of your end step, if you cast a spell that turn, you get a research counter for basically each permanent with Eureka you control. And when you have 8 or more, you can remove them all to create a powerful Masterpiece token. So Test's deck is basically like an aggressive style, kind of tempo-y deck, which aims to cast a bunch of spells, have some recursive threats, and eventually just win the long game off of repeated Eurekas. Meanwhile, Gateways' deck is kind of a twist on an established archetype, Heart Attack Control, which is basically using this land Heart of Zadina with a card, a Mastery of the Veil, which is basically black, X, and then if X is 5 or greater, you can choose the same mode. One of the modes is each opponent loses 2 life. So you basically just play it for a bunch of mana and drain your opponent clean out, essentially. Gateways' version is kind of verging on a more tempo-y build. It actually only has 4 pieces of main deck counter magic, and seems to mostly, like, its main focus seems to be doing stuff like Bounty of the Gardens plus this Cane Dancer to run down life total, so you don't actually need as big of a heart attack. It is, we have 2 big control players, Hersey versus Pip. I mean, like, there's also others, but I think the model of deck building that each of them uses is very different, where I think this, and like one of the things that Hersey's decks do is, like, it's kind of like, oh, this is very tempo. It has very cheap win cons and it kind of like face burn style stuff, and it's like, okay, like Cane Dancer is one of the favorite cards there, Reflector Mage is another, and so cards like that which are very cheap, but then you just kind of like add up answers to them, is a big thing. But Gateways is going to have the turn 2 negate to counter the free cast on the Galvan Coal line. That's going to be painful. Test does resolve the Union Rail Strikebreaker, which is basically our format's Young Pyromancer. Negate is a strong piece of counter magic in the format because of how non-creature heavy our win cons are, but I think there are still powerful and relevant creatures, and sometimes like Union Rail Strikebreaker is, you can't just answer them with an Exant. I'm kind of suspicious of Exant in this deck in general, just because, like, you're playing 4 Bounty of the Gardens and some number of Cane Dancers. Why are you playing a removal spell which also tags your own stuff? Okay, swings in just with the Construct. Probably not looking to get Union Rail blocked by a Cane Dancer is the logic. And then is going to hard cast the Northern Express line. Looks like Gateways is going to counter this again. Cane Dancer flashback to negate? Yup. And Test is like, no problem, I've got an endless supply of these rail lines. We build in a railroad network to connect the countries. We're going international. We're going across the seas. So, at this point, Test's deck, I think, only runs 16 actual lands, but the rail lines being semi-artifact lands really helps with that. And the next turn can, I don't know, do you want to just drop Volta, and then, like, you can discard the Whisperwoods and then try to, like, tick back up? Or just hardcast the Whisperwoods and try to go for broke? Yeah, I'm not sure what the exact proper line is next turn, but decent options for Test right here. Meanwhile, Gateways does have the combo of Heart of Zadina plus Mastery of the Veil, but because of the double Heart of Zadina, can't actually get to the 4th land to do anything with it. And doesn't have the mana to play Mabel. Like, this is actually kind of a really awkward situation, because Gateways doesn't have mana to cast any card in their hand, in fact, which is not where you want to be. Okay, Test hits another Eureka card in the Avid Researcher. Could just go Volta here, and then next turn you have Avid Researcher plus Rogars because of the +1. Yeah, okay. Seems like that's what Test is going to do. And yep, is going to use the minus, going to immediately Thirst for Meaning, hitting Unraveling, Torchlit Shipyard, Northern Express line. Could probably discard the Northern Express line, but also getting Whisperwoods and Unraveling into grave is not a bad proposition at all. So, it's kind of hard to say. I think you probably... Okay, interesting. Is going to ditch the Unraveling, and is thinking about the second card. Oh no, and the Torchlit Shipyard. Okay, one thing I will say is I think that keeping the Unraveling in hand is potentially a good play because of Gateways being kind of color screwed / generally card screwed. to the point where you can basically rely on just, okay, I'm going to keep them off cards, and then like if they do manage to get to a point where they have the lands to stabilize or whatever, okay, I'll just counter it, and then I can just overrun them with my Union Rail Massacre, basically. So you're going to swing for 2 more. One of the constructs gets chumped and killed, but Test is making so many per turn that he doesn't really care about losing 1. And on end, because of Volta's Eureka static, is going to get a research counter. And if he does cast the Avid Researcher next turn, that's going to be 2 per turn, so in 4 turns gets a Eureka. And I think with the filtering that Avid Researcher gives, it'll be hard to not hit another Eureka card in the middle of that. Unfortunately for Test, though, Gateways does get the top deck of the land. So now has a lot more options. Pitbull is online, Mabel's online, Exit's online, but you probably definitely don't want to cast that. Heart of Zedina now produces basically normal mana, but you can't net mana with it yet. So it looks like he's going to cast Mabel and then untap blue producing lands. No, okay, it's going to +1 so that Heart of Zedina can start netting being a soul land next turn. Okay. Also that probably so that it dies less easily to Token Swarm. I was thinking you could minus it and then have Pitbull up, but I guess at this point the board is too far gone. Gotta try and win through the Mastery of the Veil. Okay, so Test is going to play the top deck Unceasing Flames on the Cane Dancer. Unceasing Flames is one of the cards in our Make cycle, which are the only cards in the format which make extra copies of themselves that shuffle themselves into your deck. One of the perks of being on a digital client. So we're going to see that right here. You're going to +1 Volta, untap the Galvan Coal Line. And since Gateways is tapped out, you can probably just go 4 Constructs at Mabel, Union Rail at face, because that prevents Giant Mastery from coming down next turn. Okay, he's going to hardcast the Whisperwood's Phoenix. Actually kind of surprised by this, but hey, it is just more aggression. Why not? I would have probably cast the Avid Researcher just because I'm a research counter fiend, but so he's going to swing everything. Is Test going to take out Mabel or just go for the throat? Okay, he's going to point all 4 of the constructs at Mabel. So Gateways takes 3 and is facing down a pretty hefty board next turn. Takes 7 from the creatures, puts Gateways down to 4. Then Gateways takes 3 from the Rogars. So is actually dangerously close to just dying. Oh, but Xanagan is a good way to stabilize, potentially. So yep, is going to cast Xanagan. And then I don't know what the extra black is for. Maybe just casting the Exit just to get something. Okay, so he's going to +1 Xanagan. Killing Whisperwoods probably. Oh no, killing the URS. Okay, that's also fair. Okay, so kills a Union Rail Strikebreaker. And then, yeah, he's going to Exit. Kills one of these. Test pointing the constructs at Xanagan and then Rogarsing it still kills Xanagan. And then can still deal 2 to Gateways' face with the Whisperwoods. So it's still in a reasonable position here. Test could dig deep and then try to find another burn spell. Oh, but only has 1 red source. Actually, that kind of sucks. If Test had another... Ooh, he's still going to -2. Okay. I was going to say, so if Test had another red source... plus, oh, there it is. Not quite enough to kill, though. So, yeah, I was going to say, could maybe get into a situation where could just dome Gateways here, but no. Still has to go 1, 2, 3 at Xanagan, Whisperwood's face, and then either Unceasing or Rogars at the Xanagan as well. So yep, pokes the Xanagan with the Unceasing for 3 now, because that's how Unceasing Flames works. Just steadily grows. It is still interactable though, because you can exile the copies from the graveyard, so not an experience counter situation. And yep, swinging for the hills. 3 constructs at Xanagan, 2 at face, and Test is just steadily chipping away at Gateways' ability to stabilize. Gateway still has the Mastery of the Veil, but so they can Mastery for 4, which means that they can get all of the modes. If they top deck a land, they can Mastery for 5, and then maybe force Test to sack his entire board, which would not be bad, honestly. That's probably a real kick in the nuts for Test, because at that point, you just have to rely on Rogar's tokens. But nope, Gateways does not hit the next land, so it's stuck on Mastery X equals 4. Cursory Glance is helpful here because it takes out the Rogars. Okay, so Gateways passes holding up the Cursory plus Pitwilt. On Test's own turn is going to Avid Researcher, drawing into just another land. It is a red source though, which is useful. So we're going to swing 5 at face, just going to wait to see what Gateways does. So yeah, before blocks is going to pit wilt the Whisperwood's Phoenix probably. Oh no, 4? Oh, it's going to suit up the Monument of Queens for 1? That's 5 blue. What is going on here? Did Gateways forget that Monument has been changed so that it's 4 mana? No? Okay. Yeah, it's just activating it for 1. I guess it has first strike, so you could just kill one of these constructs. And ironically, no, don't do this now. No, the problem is Monument can tap itself and Gateways can use the mana. Yeah, you should have waited. Test screwed that one. Test should have waited till the phases passed, so that Gateways lost the blue mana. That was unfortunate misplay on Test's part. So now Test is in a real problematic situation because this Monument of Queens is just going to start growing and gaining Gateway's life because it's a dumb, ridiculous card even after it was nerfed. So Gateways now, because it's tapped, can't actually block anything. Takes 5, but it still is able to grow it up and gain some life in the following turns. And Test can just play the Sights Beyond, has Concord easily online, so can start drawing cards. Test can probably try to stack the deck for more face burn. Okay, so yeah, tops of Bottle Lightning, bottoms of Reconsider and Mountain. Yeah, the Bottle Lightning just goes face. And then Gateways blocks with Monument for 2 next turn. So gains 2, but then takes 3 from the constructs. So that should be enough to kill Gateways, if I'm doing the math right, which is always a very tenuous thing to assume. Oh, so it looks like Gateways might just be going for a big Mastery. Has Mastery X equals 6, at which point you can drain Test for 12, which doesn't quite get there. Could make Test sacrifice 5 creatures, and then you could draw a card, which I think is the mode that Gateways is going to choose. But then Test already stacked the Bottle Lightning on top, and because Gateways had to lose 1 life to the Murmuring Falls, this is just... Yeah, so it's going to make Test sack 5, draw 1, lose 1. Gateways goes down to 2 and dies to Bottle Lightning on Test's turn. This game is over. There's also the Rogar's Frenzy from Grave. That also works. Because, yeah, Rogar's Frenzy is also a very strong card. You don't just play it as a Lightning Strike. So, we're moving on to Game 2. Before that, let's look at sideboards for each of these players, potentially. So first off, for Gateways' sideboard, I think you could probably definitely bring the Stand Unsaleables, because life gain versus an aggressive deck like this is very powerful. The Thought Blossoms, maybe. You do miss like a good chunk. You do miss like Bottle Lightning and the Artifact and stuff, so I don't think it's worth swapping it out for Negate, so I'm not sure. Memento Mori exiling from Grave is probably pretty good. Again, the Exilants I'm very sus of, so I could definitely see bringing in Memento Mori as like more expensive but more flexible removal in that slot. Yeah, I think you probably go I could see like a -1 Mabel, -2 Exant, -1 Bounty, and maybe -1 Negate for +3 Stand, +2 Memento. That sounds like potentially good numbers. On Test's end, I think the Titan Snare is an easy bring-in. Shuts off all of Gateways' win cons short of the Bounty of the Gardens. Imperial Siege is also kind of strong for that reason. Negate is kind of good. Like, this is one of those matchups where I think Test's worry is not having enough cards from the sideboard. It's how do you board for this without overboarding because of how linear Test's deck is. So, I'm not very good in that respect either, but I think all I can say is Negate, Imperial Siege, Titan Snare, and some number should be coming in. And we're starting off Game 2. Test is going to Unceasing Flames turn 1. Unfortunately, this does not account for this glaring Stand Unassailable that Gateways brought in, and is definitely going to slam turn 2, probably. Test did bring in the Imperial Siege, it looks like, so can turn 2 Imperial Siege hurt Gateways on that angle, and then at some point draw into blue sources for these opts. Otherwise, Bottle Lightning can scry for blue sources, or just build up Eureka counter. So this is a reasonable hand. Gateways also has like a... Oh, Gateway's keeping the mana up. So, not going to be able to Imperial Siege that easily. Is Test... Oh, Test is just gonna run it out. I think that you want to wait for Gateways to be kind of tapped out to do that. But yeah, that's going to eat a Destructive Ambition, which I guess came in from the side for Gateways. I could kind of see it since Whisperwood's Phoenix is the only multicolored card in Test's deck, I suppose. Ooh, Test drawing another blue card, not super great. You can try and run out the Ball of Lightning, but then this is just going to get Cane Dancer Destructive. Oh no! Gateway's letting it resolve. Interesting. Not sure why, though. Is Gateways planning to plan it on end just to try and draw more cards? Or Pithwell to the Lightning on end? I don't know. I could see trying to plan it here to draw into more cards since you need land drops to hit your Mabel. Yeah, is going to do that. Is going to plan it far, far away. Unfortunately, it hits an Exant, but at least that clears one more dead draw off the top, getting Gateways closer and closer to a land, and there it is. Still not enough to be able to Windmill Slam the Mabel, but one step closer to turning off the life loss from the Shifting Glade, which is really damning in this matchup. Test also a little short on mana, but is going to keep trying the efforts to stymie Gateways. But this one is just going to get Cane Dancer Destructived. Yep. Gateways is having none of that. I think the sequencing here... Like I get why Test did this, because is worried about untap Mabel, but my personal opinion is that I would... So a little bit of a misplay there from Gateways. Gateways resolved the leitmotif trigger of Planet Far, Far Away, as if Destructive Ambition was the one that would trigger it, but Cane Dancer is also a blue spell, so Gateways actually missed the window to leitmotif back the Planet Far, Far Away, and should have done it while Cane Dancer was on the stack, not after its ETB was resolving. So we're having a quick judge call on that. Okay, so the judges have ruled it as a case of out-of-order sequencing, which would normally be resolved by the opposing player putting it on the stack, since Test effectively put it on the stack, quote-unquote, by not pointing it out earlier. The judges have essentially resolved that the fixes we're just going to play on. So Gateways has passed to their turn, pokes in a Test for 1, and Gateways is still on the train of not hitting that 4th land. Singularity's Grasp for X equals 1 can do some damage even still. And now finally runs out the stand unassailable. Yeah, I think Test's one hope was really burn out Gateways before they could stabilize, and that's looking harder and harder. Especially as Test continues to miss these land drops. Well, I say that, and then Test immediately gets the land they needed. Comes in tapped, though, which sucks. So they can't go, for example, Bottle Lightning into Torchlit. But I think, you definitely want to take the shield down opportunity, get another Bottle Lightning, probably kill the Cane Dancer. Yeah, kill the Cane Dancer, and now you're getting 2 research counters per turn, and this is smooth going. If Gateways doesn't hit a 4th land, Gateways is really in trouble, because at that point they can't keep up Planet plus Pithwelt at the same time. And yet another expensive card for Gateways. They really need these land drops, and they're just not hitting them, both of these players being somewhat mana screwed. But Test's deck is built to play on lower mana, while, Gateways isn't. So he's going to try and run out the main phase Planet to hit the 4th land. And still not a 4th land. So Gateways is effectively tapped out. What can Test do with that? Well, Jesus, okay, yeah, sure. You can just play the Bottle Lightning, and then on Gateways' end, resolve Prodigious Panya or an Opt, whichever one you feel is more to your fancy. But yeah, these Bottle Lightnings just turboing out these research counters. Next turn, Test is going to be able to turn them on. Gateways can't even untap and Pithwelt one of them to stop it. And still no 4th land for Gateways, just more and more expensive cards. It's looking painful. It's looking distinctly painful. So discard an Exant to hand size. And on end, which is it going to be? Opt or the... Looks like it's going to be the Opt. Probably wants more lands before dropping the Panya, because Test probably wants to go Panya. If it resolves, immediately untap and Great Escapade, and then try to do some shenanigans that way. Or more burn. More burn does work. So Gateways does have the Cursory Glance up, but can't do anything past that, so... Oh, and Eureka... Ooh. Eureka is each end step. Oh, yeah. So now does get to Eureka and gets a Cultivating Spheres. So now gets to draw an additional card and play an additional land. Very powerful right here. See, I think you probably just go Heist Headquarters, Union Rail, and then if that gets countered, whatever, I can just hold up Reconsider plus Rogars plus Panya, and I'm in a very good position. So Gateways is going to cursory glance the Union Rail Strikebreaker. Does get the second planet trigger. Looks like Test really wants this to resolve, so is going to reconsider the cursory glance, taxing it for 2, which Gateways can't currently pay. And my god, still not another land! Gateways is getting so mana screwed. And yeah, this bounty, it's still fine as a 3-3, but I think you're in this deck, you're looking to have it come down as a 5-5 or bigger. Say on end of turn, Gateways can still win that war by exiting the Union Rail before Test can untap. But Test is well on the way to winning, because next turn, unless Gateways Pitwilt's a Bottle Lightning here, has the ability to just go, okay, I'm going to get another Eureka. In fact, I think is a reason maybe why Test shouldn't have tried to save the Union Rail. Could have just let Union Rail die, get 3, and then on Gateways' turn cast Rogars, Reconsider, or Prodigious Panya. And then got a second, you can get a second Cultivating Series because they're not legendary, or I think I forget what the name of the Lotus is, but it's one that you can pay 3 mana, deal 3 damage to any target. I think that's really good in your burn game plan, so potentially do that. So Gateways is going to Pitbull the Cultivating Spheres. As it is a token, it has a CMC of 0, so Test will not be able to get additional cards until, his next turn, because he's going to definitely run out another spell this turn. So I think you can pretty freely go Unceasing Flames on face, then hold up Rogars plus Panya. So you have Unceasing coming down. Is that the first one? No, cast 1, turn 1. So this is going to be 3 damage. Oh, and he's going to run out the second Unceasing Flames as well. Okay. I mean, sure, shoot your shot. And then next turn, you just play Prodigious Panya on end. No, does Test I don't think so. I think still Test doesn't have lethal off the cards that he has currently. Cultivating Spheres will help to dig for some of those Unceasing Flames copies, though. And that'll really be a wrap for Gateways. Still no 4th land? Gateways is 1/3 through their deck, and they've only seen 3 lands. This is really painful. And yeah, Gateways is going to concede there. That was a really unfortunate game 2 for Gateways. You never want to see a game end up like that, but Test still played it really well. Put the pressure on Gateways to keep answering rather than building up advantage with stuff like the Bounty, Cane Dancer, Planet, etc. But yeah, despite that unfortunate end, still good games to both players. And I'm glad to see a new brew shine in the second round. But yeah, until next time, this is Caillou signing off.